ready?
Yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes from last week's meeting? Is there any additions or corrections?
I didn't see any, Mr. Chairman.
I haven't either.
I will do to approve.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0. Commissioner comments and committee reports.
I've had none. We, still in the process of the project concern director. It's still vacant at this time.
Okay. I have a meeting Thursday with NECAP meeting.
I don't know.
Nothing? Okay. Elected officials and department heads. I hope Pat gets here. So, Seth, you want to come on up?
First thing I had, or what you guys have in your hands, is Billy Pat. It's the roller that we use for asphalt. Like last year we did the same thing, we rented it to see if we liked it. We decided we wanted to go to one size bigger. Same thing this year, we got a rental agreement with the option to purchase at the end of the rental period. The monthly rental will be $2,509 per month, and then at the end of that, they'll take off all the rental costs and the actual starting
100%?
price. What's that?
100%?
100%. Everything that we rent will come off of the sales price.
If we choose to purchase.
If we choose to purchase, that sales price is on there for what we purchase it for.
Is this basically just bigger? It's basically the same
It's
make,
semi
model.
machine, just probably another foot wider a bit.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. We have a larger one, we have a smaller one. This is going to be kind of a medium-sized one.
No, we have our large metal drum roller, which is actually just broke down yesterday. We're hoping we can get it repaired. Could be a costly one, so I'm not really sure on that one. We don't have a smaller one. The one that we had last year was the rental that we shipped back. Probably the one when you saw us doing asphalt, that was the rental machine. I talked to all the guys, watched myself. Just took us a little more time to get anything done because the machine was so small. This size should get us done.
This was going to be bought straight out, no trade-ins in.
Correct.
if we like it at the end of the year.
Correct.
We're renting it until we decide whether we want to keep it.
And the way the contract looks is we have 6 months to make the decision, and we should have a decision by then. By that time, it looks like we'd be in the next year's budget, so we can budget it in the next year. Not, I do believe I have the funds for that purchase this year if need be.
I'm surprised they're allowing 100% off the rental price. Normally they prorate it 50, 75, very best. That's good. So that tells me one thing. They're too much for the machine, but they got it figured in there.
And it's the same contract as last year. I know Pat had them change some wording on it. I believe that's in the bottom of the document in the comments on which,
This one here.
well, I think it's on the bottom of that. There's some comments down there. It states that we're not locked into this with the signature of this. It's just we still do have the option.
Customer is taking the roller out on rent with the option to purchase. When customer is done, they have the option to return the roller to Foley Equipment or to use their rental dollars towards purchase of this roller if they choose to do so.
And that's what Pat we had last year. So he did the exact same, just change the machine, change the numbers, and that's where we're at.
Okay. Do I hear any further discussion? Do I hear a motion to
sign the agreement to rent, possibly to purchase said roller.
I so move, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Pass 3-0.
Now, you will get this in when it's time to asphalt. You won't get it in, let it set 2 months.
Well, right when we're ready to start, I'll have it shipped.
So if we use it for 2 months, we say this is what we want, do we go ahead and purchase it, or we do wait to 6 months? Or I guess it don't make a difference, it's all going towards,
We'll
all
span it out to the end of it, and if we have problems, though, then it falls on them instead of us.
that's true, that's true.
Do I need to sign these, or?
I can sign it, you guys give me approval to sign, I'll just sign
Okay.
it. And then,
Do you need the figures?
I'll get a copy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
She's one I'm gonna now.
You can only.
Okay. Also, what I had left up there is the truck we found. We've been looking for that service truck for some time now. Then I came back a few weeks later and decided, we can use the truck we have now, just remove the bed and add a service bed to it, and buy a dump truck, which we were planning on doing with that truck we're gonna convert. The top paper that you're looking at now is for the dump truck that we kind of looked at and decided that'd be our best option to purchase on a dump truck wise. If we'd like to go ahead and do that, we can still convert the other truck, or we can still be under our 70,000 budgeted with going with that dump truck and then one of the service trucks on that packet.
Too many miles,
That was my concern.
too many miles on all of them, 150, 160, 70.
The
Too many
best
miles.
one is 127.
My question would be, what are you gonna use the green truck for?
That will turn into the service truck.
Oh, you're just gonna
Now,
put a
if we
service?
didn't turn it into the service truck and stay a crew truck where we can load barricades and everything else. If we stay under our budget and do that, I wouldn't mind buying another crew truck since we're gonna lose another crew truck. Then we'll have the dump truck, but I'd rather than not use that as something from running around in. The state surplus did have some pretty good pickups here this last week, I guess, on their site that I've been calling about. I haven't had a return call back yet. But they were very low miles and not too bad on price.
Okay.
But we would have to travel to Illinois to pick that dump truck up. And if I have the approval today, we will drive up either tomorrow or Thursday, look at it, see if they'll let me just put my card on it and hold it until next week, and we can make the payment to them.
I guess I don't have any opposition to it.
I have a little opposition if we're not gonna put the utility truck on the green Dodge truck or whatever brand it is. We need pickups more than we need a truck like that, so I would go with the dump truck if you're gonna put the or the service bed on the green truck.
Okay.
But to buy a service truck and a dump truck and possibly a pickup, I would probably oppose that.
But if we did a service truck and a dump truck, we'd leave the green truck as is. We wouldn't buy us another crew truck. But, I'm with you, I don't really care for the high mileage on those service trucks.
No, that's way too many miles. You're just 30 miles from trouble.
Mhm.
That's my opinion.
That sounds reasonable to me. Jack, do you have anything to?
No, I think Bill's right on with the miles.
Okay.
So which one of these are you leaning towards?
Yeah, very top one right there.
Top one.
Can we make a motion?
You'd have to go.
Like the one behind it.
Has it got like a sleeper
It's
cab on
got
it?
a box, a toolbox on it.
Oh, that's toolbox.
Mhm.
Okay, that I thought it was sleeper cab. What would you need that for? But toolbox.
They can sleep in it without that. Sorry.
The kicker is you got to go. That's a 2-day,
One that
two-person.
we're gonna leave early in the morning, get down there and drive straight back. Gonna be a long
Is it
day.
Chicago?
Rockton, Illinois.
Okay, that's
Right close to it.
Yeah, that's just on the Illinois border.
That's a long drive one
Long
day.
drive, but
That's 20 hours
we
drive
get
at
searched
21.
everywhere.
It's probably 6 hours
6,
to
7 hours.
Who would go with you?
Me and Jeremy.
Hmm.
Did you price what it cost to have it? transport back or shipping?
Well, I'd like to go look at it before we
Oh,
actually give it.
that's true, that's true.
We can talk on the phone with people all the time.
Because I've been there, done this, where they've had 20 of these, and this one here, oh, that was the first one we sold.
Correct, so.
Been there, done
I
that.
prefer to be right there on the spot. when
That's
we
true,
say,
that's
okay.
true.
So you would prefer, all you're asking for today is just permission to go look at it and hold it?
Make the offer to them that we would like it.
I'm okay with it.
Okay, do I hear a motion to approve Seth to,
I got one other question. With the purchase of, is it 22.5?
Yes, that's what we talked about.
Okay, then you're-
before we found them.
Oh, you're not gonna have much, and is that gonna give you more than enough to put a new service bed on and equip it, the green Dodge truck?
Ford,
Okay.
it's Ford and,
Whatever,
It's a Ford, yeah.
or Ford truck, whatever,
Yes,
okay, the
Ford
noxious weed truck.
1,000 with the green truck, Ford truck, plus that, so we're under our 70. So.
okay, it's
Okay.
been moved.
I'll second that, Mr.
It's been
Chairman.
moved and seconded to, okay, Seth to check out the 2006 Ford 350, 5.4 gas with a dump bed. All in favor, say aye.
I would make one more comment. I'd have a backup plan if you get all the way up there and that's not what it seems to be. Could you get any?
There's multiple trucks up there.
Okay.
Okay, well, I'll
Okay.
rescind that part of it that specifically says this truck. So if you are interested
Your
in it,
discretion.
okay, but your primary goal is to look at this truck, okay. Pass 3-0. And Michelle, do you need to look at that?
I just hope it doesn't happen like the other time. We went up there and had the approval drive up there the next day and they didn't have
It was gone.
So
You may make sure before you
we'll
leave.
call before we leave. This one was only just St. Joe, so it wasn't a big deal, but still too much fun. Anything else?
That's it, as far as I know.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you get any information about ground?
Not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. I will try to make some more phone calls into this week. You need copies of this or just have it?
Thank you.
Ray?
Last week, dropped off this booklet, which I think is in your packets. And I am not here to say we're going to go through this today. What this is, K-State Ag Economics Department has what they call an Office of Local Government. Those folks love to get into budgets and put together summaries. So each year, they do this booklet, which looks at a county, brief description as far as population assessments, taxing. Then they compare that to, they look at all counties and they come up with some what I would call a ratio. And I am not the economist to really get in depth with this, but I wanted to drop it off personally to the commissioners. This would reflect probably the last 9 years of county expenses, county receipts, and evaluations. And then they take the 2015 budget that they collect from Topeka, from all counties, and then they use that as an inflationary factor. And so I'm going to leave them with you, and you can dissect them, look at them as much as you want to, or as little as you want to. But what they try to do is then go back to previous years and to say what inflation dollars were in that particular year. So I think some of it starts in 2007, and it'll have an actual dollars, and it'll have $15. So that is the inflationary factor to try to make that easier to understand and to reflect what expenses, what receipts have been. There again, there's lots of tables, charts, the little descriptors below those tables are probably what I tend to look at to be a helpful cheat sheet and understanding and interpretation. And it's from Atchison County standpoint, it is such, you could compare Atchison County to another similar county and what their spendings, what their receipts are. There is a section there as far as revenue, as far as whether it be property tax, sales tax revenue, or other revenues. So it's a summary that the Office of Local Government puts together. They would make a offering if you would like verbal explanation via the phone. They are willing to set up an appointment and do that. Half an hour presentation, they would offer to come on site, do a little explanation and answer questions. But there again, I do not present it with the intent we're going to talk about it today. It's just not fair, I feel, to give somebody a book and then say, oh, by the way, we're going to sit here and talk about it. So as you look, the different departments, they'll have one section where one table they break out general expenses, road and bridge, and then law enforcement. And I think they're going to suggest from a county budget, roughly a third of those three departments, or three sections, is probably the county budget. And there again, it's how they pull together information and then they summarize it. And it is a document that is consistent to all counties of Kansas. There is a website that would list this booklet as well as every county's 2017 size. So, and I did not highlight that. I should have. It's on the inside cover at the bottom on page 1 as far as the person wants to go online with one. So, I guess I would suggest that's kind of my view. There's 3 of them. I don't know if Michelle, anybody else really, Jamie or anybody. So,
Jamie could probably use one.
so I can leave that 4th one. If a 5th one is needed or more, we can print them. Not a problem.
Okay.
So, any initial reactions? And if not, I'll get out of your way.
Of course, I love data too much, but do they offer any kind of services such as consulting or strategic planning? Especially if
no.
there's no charge?
No. This would be generated at no cost as a Kansas State University Research and Extension unit. With that, they could do a little bit more, I think, Jack. If a person, as you previously said, on city council, I think they could pull together some city information comparable to other similar sized cities of Kansas. So, and I say, I'm not sure what all they do. At one time, they were helping hospitals do updates. Seemed like hospitals were, well, I shouldn't say mandated, but hospitals had to do kind of a summary, and they, as a department, contracted them to help some hospitals to renew and get that information collected. That's been several years back. But, I think that's just one of the things they said they were doing for hospitals and communities. But yeah, there's lots of numbers, lots of data. So hopefully they presented a simple, somewhat simple enough summary that it doesn't get too confusing. Okay?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Take that, I'll touch base with you or so in a week. Maybe Eric can see if you want something officially from K-State. Like I say, it could be a conference call, or they could physically schedule to come to Atchison County.
No, I thought maybe they had some recommendations. Specifically.
They probably are not recommendation consultants to that degree. They probably would suggest, well, I think what they would do, as they do in this, is to suggest here's the average Kansas County as a 100% ratio, or 100 ratio of 100, and if Atchison County sets, there's one section there on fiscal responsibilities, I think it's 17, 18, all your a taxing entity, taxing capacity is a term they use. And I don't know the details on that, Jack, but I think it's a 53 is our taxing, and then there's a rating of 78, which means the average county, if there was 100, that Atchison County is probably below taxing capacity to some degree. Okay.
Thanks,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a delightful day. I didn't see any of you jump on up and go to Illinois.
You already had that arranged.
Long trip.
One day.
Thanks, Ray.
Tomorrow? So you can go there.
I'm trying to get planting done, and
I think you would be.
I got enough sitting in here.
But it's not as windy and hot in here as it is.
And it's starting to get
You
warm.
gotta get it done, oh yes.
Pardon. Come on up, ladies. Do you know our new commissioner?
I don't.
Jack Bauer.
Jack
This is
Bauer.
Kristen Watkins
Hi.
and Christy Callahan.
I've seen Christy
Yes.
out and about. There you go.
Right. Well, I guess I'll copy this, but. Yes, they already have one, yeah. Okay, great, great. I, sent out to your commissioner email some time ago, all of our interlocal agreement, copy of that, all of our state statutes and our bylaws, policies and procedures, just pretty much all the information about us and what we do and who we are, how we were formed, the relationship that we have with the counties and the obligation that the county has to health department and to indicate multi-county. I do want to have the opportunity while I'm here to clear up a few things because Commissioner Shealy and I had about an hour-long conversation about this, but I had not had the opportunity to come up and talk to you guys. I know we invited you to our location just to see what we do and everything, and to have lunch or whatever, but that hasn't come to fruition yet. So just to let you know, we do have home health and hospice, but it has nothing to do with the county. The county doesn't fund it. It is its own separate thing. It's part of NEK Multi-County, but we are an independent agency. It is almost as if you contract with us to provide public health services. The building is yours, but the contents are ours. The intellectual property is ours. The staff is ours. We pay the staff. The county doesn't pay the staff. You see what I'm saying? What you provide to us is by statute disease investigation funding. What we receive from the state for state formula is dependent upon what we get from the counties. Right now, what we receive through state formula to help with disease investigation for your county is $750 a month. And that helps with Christy being on call 24/7 for disease investigation, quarantining people with tuberculosis, checking on them every single day, communicating with the doctors and our medical director, logging everything into EpiTrack system so that it's on the state database, doing investigation for every single person who came in contact. What Mumps came up most recently. She had a person here at a school, and not only did she have to investigate, that person at that school, but also every person that girl played basketball with, the basketball team from Tonganoxie, the everybody, the school. I mean,
I've had I've had 3 positive cases, confirmed cases.
Mhm.
I've had 2 probable, and then a couple of suspected cases. But with all of those, you have to do a full-length investigation. So you have to go back 28 days and figure out where they were at, and figure
Wow.
out
who they
who they came in
with.
contact with, and then who those people came in contact with. It's just a big circle.
And it involves more than Christy. I mean, it involves her support staff as well. She hasn't had a second nurse to help her, but we finally were able to find a nurse to come in and help her 2 days a week. So that gives her a little bit of time to do the things that she needs to do. Plus, it gives her a backup person if she wants to go on vacation or take, sick time or anything like that where she might be unable to immediately respond to a disease investigation. Let's see, what else do we want to say that? Oh, she also won an award at the state level for her disease investigation.
No, very good.
They
20,
recognize
27 years old, been at this job for 2 years, almost 3, and won an award.
Pretty
So,
exciting.
Very good.
very exciting. Be
Through,
recognized-
who was it through?
State of Kansas.
Okay, the state.
Recognized at the Governor's Public Health Conference. Mhm.
Very good.
By the Bureau Director, Charlie Hunt.
I've seen where, who was it from Effingham? Was working on the Kickapoo Nation and got an award.
Tennille.
Tennille Forbes, yes.
Yes, we were so close to hiring her,
Yeah.
but she just didn't. She went back and forth, and just decided she just couldn't leave, Kickapoo where she was at, and we understood, but
Mhm.
we were really trying hard.
Yeah.
Because we knew she was a good nurse.
Yes.
Yeah. And there are things that I do administratively that do not come out of your budget. For example, Christina, the CFO, and I have to, we've been attending payroll law. We attended a payroll law seminar. We're attending an HR law and employment law seminar because we have to stay on top of all of these things to make sure, and a HIPAA, we have to stay on top of all of these things to make sure that we're doing everything legally and appropriately with regard to our staff and our funding. And that doesn't come out of your budget because it's not budgeted for in your budget. It comes out of home health and hospice revenues.
Why is your telephone budget so high? Do you supply phones and pay for their
Yes.
plans? And
Yes.
Oh, that seems awful high.
Well, we pay for the phone there at the health department, the internet. We have a language line service as well. We have the phones reimbursements for the employees who answer their personal cell phones for business-related expenses. Everything is essentially this is our running budget that was presented last year and the year before. So everything is basically adjusted a little bit for inflation, but in the actual 2016 was fiscal year 2016. So, and that was also when we had a different CFO and she applied expenses, at her discretion. So what we wind up with in 2017 with a new CFO applying expenses, we do break it down as far as when we get a telephone bill, we get it from Atchison. So it goes to Atchison County, our Atchison County class.
Mhm.
So,
Your mileage rate is based on the state of Kansas?
50 cents a mile,
What was the figure last year?
80,000.
So 2,000.
2,000 more.
Okay.
That's what you guys gave us last year was 80,000.
That's what I was thinking, but without actually going to, I wouldn't want to quote myself.
And so, it's really not a huge increase, and if we don't get it, it's not going to be the end of the world, it's not going to be the end of us. But what you were presented last year included revenues from home health and hospice. And so we had to take those out, and because of something that happened back in 2012 where the agency almost collapsed. Home health and hospice revenues incorrectly inflate public health, and it makes it seem as though public health is doing better than what it is. So in 2012, public health was far overstaffed for their capacity and their funding, and it was being paid for by home health and hospice revenues. Well, home health and hospice had a bad year, and we had to let a lot of people go. I wasn't on them, but that was the big scare. They had to let a lot of people go. It was traumatic to the staff, it was traumatic to the board members. So it's my job to ensure that that doesn't happen again. So what we're doing is ensuring that public health can stand on its own 2 feet. Because we want those continued services. If home health and hospice, one call from CMS, one thing we do wrong can shut us down. Any home health and hospice, anybody. Shut us down, shut down our revenues. They can take back payments if they want to. So that's why we spend so much time staying on top of CMS developments and everything like that, because again, they have their rules and regs, and anything else, we stop getting payments, we get our payments taken back. If we're using that money to support public health, that affects public health.
Okay.
So you're asking for $2,000 more? Okay, we need to put this in our, starting our budget package. Is this to be
I
the
was
first?
asking Michelle about that this morning. She's
first
got one, and
we've
so
got?
as we submit them, I will just put a notation on it, go in the blue folder, and she will put it in a folder over in her office.
Okay.
So, yeah, you're one of the first that's made a request so far this year, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we're just starting to get,
Wow, Brown County made us come early
well,
and visit with them about this. They had their budget hearing a week or two ago.
their budget hearing?
Well, their budget request, I guess
Oh.
you call it. Mhm.
Okay, yeah, we're needing to get our budget calendar. We're a little bit behind, but we're having some audit problems and things like that, so. Again, we've got the tax legislation, so
Yep.
it depends on if we can, how things are gonna shake out with that, or we're gonna be stuck, or if we're gonna have some leeway,
Yeah.
so.
And I anticipate us doing better this year than we did last year. I don't think we weren't doing business last year. I think that we weren't getting reimbursements last year because our new biller, she's in the Jackson County office, but she bills for all 3 counties, and the revenues that she's pulled in so far since she took over billing have been far better than the revenues previously from billing. So it has helped us a lot, and I really, really hope that it alleviates a little bit of the burden of asking for money from other entities, because there's nothing saying that the state won't cut our funding for our grants. And we don't know that until after we've agreed to take the grant.
That's just so backwards.
It is. And then they can unilaterally change our contract, but we can't, but they can. It's just part
It's a
of it.
one-sided deal.
It is absolutely. So anyway, I hope that we've kind of answered some of maybe the questions or concerns that were in place, prior. And if there's anything else, you can definitely communicate with me. Everybody should have my email address,
And,
whatever questions you
yeah,
have.
and we've shot 1,000
We
between
have.
us, so
Mhm.
I'm on this board, so this is,
We keep him up to date. We keep everybody up to date on what's going on.
when is our next meeting? Is it June?
June 5th.
June 5th, here.
Okay.
I'll be sending out an agenda
Okay.
pretty soon.
Well, I was thinking it was June, but I just,
We have a whole new policy and procedure manual we absolutely have to look at and make a decision on.
okay.
And also, I have to say, the prior seminars, PRYOR, for HR, payroll law, employment law, have you gone to those? They're fantastic. They're in Kansas City, they're in St. Joe, they're in Topeka. $200, and you can take all of the seminars you want for a year. And these are subject matter experts in the room giving the seminars, and you can stop and ask them questions. There's nobody else in our situation. There's nobody else across the state of Kansas who has an independent multi-county health department. I am the only CEO, Christine is the only CFO, for an agency like ours. So to have a subject matter expert answer our questions and hear our unique situation, absolutely essential.
I thought there was a big one in like central Kansas that was like 5 or 7 counties.
But it's not structured the same way that we
Okay.
are.
Just different
They
structure.
still each respond to their county governments. We're the only independent
Oh, independent, okay.
agency. Mhm.
Did we have any counties pull out? Wasn't there talk at one time that Brown or Donovan or somebody was going to pull out?
In 1974, I think, like a year or two after, Donovan County was initially part of the interlocal agreement, but they did pull out in 1974.
Oh, I was just thinking the last 4 or 5 years.
No, not
No?
in the last 4 or 5 years. We have a little bit of murmur from Nemaha County that they might want to join. When we went over and talked to them about a little bit of daycare funding for doing daycare in their county, which they did award us,
Mm-hmm.
they were wondering about our structure and our setup and what our, their, like, the per cap was contribution from the counties, so.
I know it's interesting to hear of some of the interwoven relationships between like you and NECAP and the NEKES, and so as I go here, of course it has to do with the health department and everything, but it's kind of interesting to see how it's interwoven and some of the
we work together with NECAP very, very well. Actually, we kind of came up with an idea this year to have an enrollment fair at our location. And what we're doing is bringing in all the nurses and clerks to each location, one for a whole day. And NECAP is advertising, and the people will come in, they'll sign up for NECAP, the clerks will take their insurance information, the clerks will check and see if their children need immunizations or can be healthies, which are required for enrollment for NECAP. And we will do all of those things in one day for everybody who comes in.
Kind of a one-stop shop.
One-stop shop, exactly.
That sounds excellent.
And we can check to see if they're enrolled in WIC or not,
Mhm.
because most likely if they're eligible for Head Start, they're eligible for WIC as well. And so we can kind of, get them both.
Cross compliances.
Mhm.
I think that's excellent. It's almost like a kids' health fair.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the idea. We were trying to think of a way that would benefit them as well as us. And they're always scampering to try to get Canby Healthies and everything from people who don't do it. And then, of course, they'll come to Christy. For example, we had one last school enrollment time, I think. They come, well, they start school at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. They come at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning and demand a Canby Healthy. Just, without an appointment, they take an hour. So, and they just get so upset when we can't immediately stop helping other people and do that Canby Healthy. So that's what we're gonna try to avoid with this, is to make sure that everybody gets seen and gets what they need.
I think a lot of that would just be, while you're here, did you know, and get them, maybe they can't be that examination or that done, but at least they could get into the system, get that handout, and so they know when or who to contact for their information or for the next step.
Right.
Because a lot of times it's that first initial contact is the one, so they know who do I talk to, when, and how. So I like that idea.
Yeah, we hope that really helps kind of benefit. And I think, Christy, you're working with the extension.
Oh, yes, with Diane Nielsen.
Mhm.
Yeah, she wanted to come in and do some cooking classes for the community and use our kitchen area back there in the conference room, as well as she wanted to put one of her her assistant there in one of the offices to kind of help do some outreach and to talk to our WIC clients about nutrition, so that could work both ways, for my WIC grant as well as for her, because we need to have nutrition education provided. And I do it, but as well as having somebody else, do it and show them how to cook or how to save on or shop on a budget or something like that. So it'll be good to partner with her as well, use her resources.
And we did hire at the agency a social worker. So one day out of the week, the social worker will go to each health department, and it'll probably be a WIC day. And we kind of tested that out with the contract social worker, and she came upon several families who really, really needed some help, and some who needed DCF calls. And we need that kind of a person to get that information out of people, and they're very good at doing that without being scary or intimidating.
Yeah.
You may touch base with Y, because I think they was going to kind of do a thing like that, how to cook healthy and,
So why?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we did talk to him a little bit about, I kind of talked to them before when they donated the elliptical to us.
Okay.
And I haven't heard back from them, so.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll see you soon at the meeting.
Right.
Okay, ASAF, you want to come on out? Don Ball? Derek?
That'd be the ASAFSAP.
Whatever you want to call it, just call us for lunch,
There.
dinner.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys for meeting with us.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a little agenda here for you. Scott's got some financials. So, our agenda today, we want to kind of go over our financials for 2016 and then gather some information from the county commissioners on the funding of the maintenance, which you found out from the bond council. And then the other
You
thing
want a copy of this?
is to inquire about the some of our gap financing and maintenance. So that's kind of our agenda here today. And I'll turn it over to Scott. Scott's with not only on the ASF board, but he's also on the recreational, what is your title, recreation? You manage it and oversee it, so
Superintendent.
it's the superintendent of the rec commission, which ASAF signs an assigned contract with the rec commission to run the sports complex. So he'll go over the budget here for last year, and Scott, I'll turn it over to you.
That's what we got is the expenses that we had last year at the sports complex. I guess, you know, the largest expense, of course, is just the labor at the complex, that top line there. And that includes everybody out there at the complex doing mowing, supervising, taking money, driving carts, everything out there to maintain the complex as a labor cost. So that's the major part of the expenses out there.
Now, that's actual cost, that's not allocating any of your cost or your secretarial cost or anything, is that
Correct, yeah, that doesn't include any cost for time that our office staff put in. So that's just pure labor cost out there at the sports complex. And this is $94,000. That's the least amount we've spent since we've been out at the complex, and it just happens to be one of the years where we didn't have to reseal, you know, the blacktop. We didn't recondition a field last year. We didn't have a pump reconditioned. We didn't have to purchase a new mower or anything. It just was one of those years where expenses were lower. I think the average over the last 4 years has been $107,000 roughly, $107,000.
I see, Westar went up $2,000 for 1 year. That seems like one big jump for 1 year.
Yeah, I'd have to check for sure what the exact reason there might be.
Because the previous report was 5377 and this is 7300,
Yeah.
so right at 2000.
Could have been a couple things. More games at night were used, you know, lighted the fields and that kind of thing. Would be off the top of my head what I think would be. Also, we also use electricity to water the fields, and if there's if we have to water the fields more often, more electricity for that.
Field paint, that seems, is that just for your lines or?
Yeah. Use a lot of that, especially football, soccer, not so much for baseball and softball.
I mean, that's just kind of a shocking expense that you would not think at $4,000 for field paint.
Yeah.
I remember it's football, baseball, or softball.
Yeah, soccer. Yeah.
Would it be more feasible down the road to have our own or have your own golf carts versus renting them? I don't even know what a used golf cart cost.
Yeah, we own 2 golf carts, and then the summer months we rent those 6-seater golf carts.
For haul people up.
Yeah.
I mean, we're not
And-
talking a lot of money, but
Yeah, matter of fact, I just talked to our rec board last month about looking at purchasing a 6-seater for our soccer seasons because we get large numbers for that too, and then we would rent one less cart. It's just something we're looking at.
Another big jump was this Dexter pump service. Went from, oh wait a minute, they're not, I'm sorry, I'm going directly across here and they're not all lined up. Pardon me.
And the pump service, the big expense there is the filter repair.
Okay.
There's a problem with the filter out there.
Well, it went from 63 to 87. The lines don't
Sure.
correspond
Yeah.
with last year, so that's,
Yeah.
I thought it went from 1,000 to 8,800,
Yeah.
so.
And what you're gonna find there is you're gonna had a motor 1 year, you have a filter 1 year,
Yeah.
and you're gonna have $8,000 to $15,000 somewhere in some maintenance expense with those pumps and
it's
so
not
forth.
a yearly thing. It's
No, but it seems like it's something.
It's
It's
not
like-
it's a one shot for this year for that, and next year it's something else.
Yeah.
We need to be reselling the asphalt. So we gotta $15,000 expense coming up probably next year.
Mm-hmm.
And that, so we got, you know, something, one big item per year. is gonna hit
Not
you.
getting off subject, how'd you ever come out with swapping the ground? You wanted some ground off the north for some ground in the south, that didn't materialize? Okay.
Now, wait, repeat that now?
Oh, it was the Hawk property there on Belvin Country Club.
He wanted a driveway or
Yeah.
some kind of,
He was gonna,
It just,
Oh,
we couldn't come to terms.
okay.
okay. Yeah, well, it's good that it's less. We always appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like farming. I mean, yeah, things are not gonna stay the same. The
Yeah.
trend is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, it's nice to have a year that was not as expensive.
Okay. Now this is, I guess, my question is, how are, now this is the total cost of doing maintenance to the ballpark. Who's actually writing the checks? The rec department is paying for this, or is it part of, I mean,
let's go back to the beginning. Now, the county has contracted with ASAF
right,
to maintain and oversee the fields. We in turn then contract with the rec commission to go to do that same service.
okay,
So we're just a go-between right now between the county and the rec as ASAF.
okay.
So we've contracted with them to do it, and they're picking up the difference of
Yeah, we're
the
right.
cost. So we write them a check for 40,000, and they take care of it.
And then they're taking care of
This is
everything
This
else.
is FEM, you wanna take that to them?
That one's the ASAF. The first one's ASAF, the second one's FEM.
Oh, I guess we all get a copy
You
of
get a
that as
copy
well.
of this. This is
And the same thing happens with
FNN, they
You
get the check
write
to the-
straight to them
Okay.
to maintain their complex out there, and then to the school district, and they maintain, I'm sure they have more than 10,000, or whatever the difference is, they gotta make up out there.
Okay. But forgive me, but you know, it's just kind of a little bit, you know, just that pass through seems a little bit strange, and I guess to public too. They don't really understand that it's just a direct pass through ASAF to rec. So that's the reason I was just clarifying, and for my own head.
And part of that, we set up a 501c3 originally, because when we passed the bonds and got our figures for what it was gonna cost to build it, it ended up being higher than our original projections. So then we had to go out and raise some funds to
Mhm.
finish the complex. We raised about $1 million to finish the Atchison complex.
Mhm.
So we had to have a 501c3 to run those funds through. So the funds went through that account, and that's how that all got established and got started from the beginning. And we raised, and we had it set up ahead of time too. Was when we did your promotion of getting the bond. You know, that can't be funded by taxpayer money. Trying to promote your advertising for a bond program, so it had to be private money too. So all that ran through that to ASAF at the time.
Okay, now who is supplying us with these figures? Is this a rec report, or is
Yes.
this?
This is rec
this
report.
rec report.
And to us, and what it costs them to run
Okay.
the sports complex.
Is concessions included in the gate?
We have a private person running the concession stand, and so that's just gate. That's just gate.
I was told that 409 give you a mill. Will that mill go towards maintenance, or is this even true? That this 409 give a mill?
That is for the Atchison Recreation Commission,
I see.
and that was for two purposes. One, the Rec Commission was we're at 3 mills currently before the fourth mill passed, and we were getting towards that threshold with expenses for the sports complex, where we're spending $60,000 or $70,000 a year. So we needed to go up. We're looking ahead. There, possibly needing to go up in the future, for increased programming, but also for in case this, the funding for the sports complex was not there. We just wanted to make sure it's covered in case something would happen. Just planning ahead.
You don't have to take that extra, only if you need it.
Yeah, we would only use that if the funding for, you know.
You just got the authority for the extra.
Exactly, just the authority. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we've had the authority to go up to 3 mills, and we've never gone to 3 mills either, so we're just kind of planning ahead. Because we're not sure, you know, with county commissioners, you know, in the future, you know, they might decide, well, we don't want to fund the complex, or they might continue to fund the complex, so we just want a backup plan, because sports complexes, I mean, that's just a great place for families, kids, and community, and we want to keep it as nice as possible. We don't want it to happen to the sports complex what happened with the city fields. So that's what's behind that.
Which kind of rolls us into number B. We want to gather information on what you found out from your bond counsel as far as future funding of this maintenance contract. Originally, it was supposed to run out here in the fall of 18, and what'd you find out from your bond counsel?
The way I took it, maybe
I'd
Pat, you better speak this. I thought it was to continue to the length of when the complex is paid off.
Well, that's the way I read it.
That's the way I took it. It's not true?
Originally,
No.
it was set up for $500,000 was to be set aside for maintenances. That's the way it was originally sold and identified. And then that was going to be done in 10 years. Now,
Here.
the 10 years is coming up in the fall of 18. So now you guys, the county commissioners refinanced the bonds.
Yes.
So maybe the wording was and originally the bonds were going to pay off at the same time as the maintenance paid off.
The way I took it, we refinanced the savings as long as we had 1 year or 2 years,
1 year.
1 year set aside to pay the bond off. We could use that savings towards the maintenance, and that was to run the full length of the contract.
Well, the original was going to, that portion was going to expire in 2018.
I know, but when we refinanced,
Yes.
that corrected that. That's not true?
I don't know.
Well,
Oh,
You
that's
guys-
the way I
the
took
county
it.
commissioners refinanced. We didn't even know the county refinanced until 2 years.
We
down
saved,
the road. So
Well, it
we
was just
unaware of
last
that.
year. It was last summer
yeah,
when
it's
we,
been 6, 8 months ago. It seemed like it was 100 some
Refinance
thousand
ahead
we
of
was
that,
going to
too.
save.
All right, but you saved 100 and some thousand per year or total?
Total.
Total.
All right, so that's only 2.5 years, and the bonds won't be paid off till at the current rate of return, and paying on the bonds are not gonna be paid off till about 24 or 25. Is that correct, Pat? The way it was originally
That
set
was
up.
200,000.
I'm not
If-
for
if-
sure.
If our maintenance is just from your savings, that's just a two-year slot then for you.
No, it was more than that. I may be
Yeah.
wrong.
We're
Well,
okay
it
with
was-
that. We just wanted to find out what you
We're
guys found
tickled.
out. Yeah.
We're absolutely tickled if that's true.
We assumed it was running out, and that's why we were
The
kind of
way it was
concerned.
originally set up was the first $500,000 was collected off the sales tax and put into an account at Exchange Bank.
Now-
And then out of that, it's allocated $50,000 per year to come back to ASAF and to the Effingham site. And then after that $500,000 was gone, we were out of money.
With
the
the
whole
excep-
idea
with the
was-
exception, there might have been a little bit of interest.
Well,
that
just
was
the
left
interest
over
that was built up
that
on
could have lasted a bit longer.
Right.
Was originally told.
How did they collect the 500,000 initially? I mean, if they got
So
filed,
they set aside the bond payments, the first $500,000 that would have went to the principal, they held
they didn't start the bond payments until,
after we got our first $500,000.
okay.
It's set to pay off December 1st, 2026.
Okay,
Under the last
2026?
yeah,
December 1, 2026.
right.
And originally the
It was a lot longer than that on current collections, wasn't that?
So are you saying we have a maintenance fund set up for, to 2026 then? Is that what you're thinking?
no.
No? Okay.
The sales tax started in January of '07. I don't know which to address first. I'm sorry, I'm getting overwhelmed. But what I just gave you, each of the commissioners, and I probably should have made some more, but it's just 2 pages out of the original 2007 bond indenture.
Because it said 207 at the top here.
2007, yeah. And management and operating reserve fund requirement is defined there. And it just says means an amount equal to $500,000. So then and that's page 7 of the original. And then if you look at the next page, which is
That's yours.
23, Article 6, talks about paragraph 1 is just that we'll use the sales tax for it, and then paragraph 2 is the timing. 602 is the timing of sending to the trustee. And then at the very end of that, it says the trustee will administer and allocate all of the monies then held in the sales tax revenue fund and deposit the same funds and accounts in the following order of priority. So first, or A, is debt service fund, and that is the payments due in the current fiscal year. And I thought when they explained it to us, they said it was in the coming year for the entire next year, but it just says the current fiscal year. Next is payment of the trustees' fees. And then C is there shall be next paid by the trustee and credited to the management and operating reserve fund all amounts remaining in the sales tax revenue fund until the amount in the management and operating reserve fund achieves the management operating reserve fund requirement, which remember was $500,000 from before. And it provides that if it gets below that, that it will be replenished to $500,000 is the way I read that. If after the amount on deposit in the management and operating reserve fund achieves the management and operating reserve fund requirement, the amount on deposit in such fund, no, I read that wrong. If the amount on deposit is in such fund is less than management and operating reserve fund requirements, deposits to such funds shall resume until the amount on deposit in such fund again achieves the management and operating reserve fund requirement. So if it dips below that, payments are to, the way I read that, payments are to resume until it's back up to $500,000.
But there wouldn't be that
There's
much.
no spirit of that when it was written.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's what I think it says, and
I would venture to say that your bonding company would not go along with that.
okay. There's currently $126,000 in that fund.
What would happen if the payment to the bond company wasn't satisfactory?
I think that's where we come in. We have to maintain 1 or 2 years payment.
Paragraph 1, it's trustees maintaining an entire next year of payments.
And do the trustees being who?
Exchange. And in 2016, this is I have the 2012 refinance, if anybody, I don't know if you care about that. 2016, it's got the same language. The management operating reserve requirement is again $500,000. And section 602 covers 2 pages, but it's the same language. If the amount on deposit in the management and operating reserve fund is less than the management and operating reserve fund requirement, deposits to such fund shall resume until the amount on deposit in such fund again achieves the management and operating reserve fund requirement. So that's the 2016 refunding.
If the, have we, most current years, have we been getting more than what the bond payment and all of those, has there been extra, and where has that been going? Has it been going into the?
I don't think there was
I
extra.
don't know.
I don't think there was
have-
extra before, but now there
So
will
what you're
be.
saying, if there's more than the quarter cent collected, where is the balance of that quarter cent going? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying, yeah, because the way that I'm reading this is that anything above that yearly bond payment and the, and all of the things that, the yearly payments should have been going into this maintenance fund already. the way I'm,
Well, that would only make sense, we're paying the bond off early.
yeah.
And
Well-
that's D, is to go into a fund to pay it off early.
Well, Michelle, with that all goes through your office.
No,
You-
it goes,
To the treasurer.
it goes through the treasurer, and I talked with Sheila earlier in the week and got just the current, and I did not, I didn't ask for a summary of what's gone in the past or in accounting, and I probably should have, but I didn't.
I think we need to look into this a little bit more. Of course, Mr. Shealy was the board member that was the most attuned to this, and he had been looking into it. Of course, with his departure there, we're a little bit of a loss. I know I am, because I know that this is something that he knew more about than I did. So,
The way I took it, before we refinanced, there wasn't a whole lot of excess. But now that we refinanced at about half of the rate we were paying, there would be more excess. And the way I took it, it would pay for the additional maintenance till the contract was out.
there's been
But
discussion
it would
whether
have to been way over 100,000. So the 100,000 I must be wrong
That
there.
doesn't sound right.
No.
Yeah.
I know there was discussion, even though when we were talking with the bond agent when he was here, some of us had different opinions of what exactly it extrapolated out to what he said. So we've kind of been having that debate. Is this just going to extend it a couple years, or is this going to go to the end? Which I never did think it had that
Yeah, that was
plausibility
designed to
of,
do
yeah, because there's not enough money there. But it was to extend it, and at the time it sounded like it was a couple years anyhow.
Well,
I mean,
when Haggerty and Maxwell came and spoke to us that one time from Exchange Bank, we asked if we could use the interest and apply it to maintenance or be able to roll it into that.
Mhm.
And at that time, they allowed that. They said that, they went back to the bond council, they said that was allowed. And it was like $78,000 or something like that when it done. So with that said, it kind of bought us a little bit of time. But it was always, the spirit of it was, we're gonna get this thing going for 10 years, and either one, it was gonna become self-supporting, hopefully, or make up that $50,000 deficit. Or two, a taxing entity, school district, county, city, someone would absorb it.
Mhm.
That was the spirit of it at the time. We knew starting out, it was going to be impossible to expect it to carry itself right out of the gate. As expenses have went up since 06, 07,
Mhm.
the $40,000 is not even sufficient. So, but it'll leave a heck of a hole if we don't have something.
We, when the bond council was here and we were talking about this possible savings, and that was where I said, can we apply this to maintenance or savings? Because I thought that was the route to go, since there was a need there to at least if we don't increase it, to extend it. Because I think that is our first goal, is to be
Better
able
than
to,
nothing.
yeah. So we'll have to get on these figures and figure out exactly how long this is going to, at least get a good estimate
Well,
of how long this is going to extend.
Quick math tells me it has to be $450,000 to make it another 9 years to December of 2026.
It wasn't that much, but I think
Yeah,
I'm way
so,
short of the 100,000.
Well, maybe 400,000, but still, that's a heck of a number. If I remember right, the original bond was bought by Capital One Investments, so they must have sold it or negotiated something better with them or something like that. But
Again, this is a 1/4 sales tax.
percent sales tax, which at that time we planned on approximately, I believe it was $300,000 based on a 1.2 cent sales tax collection.
How is that average? I mean, how has the trend been? Is it
Only you guys would know better than that. than I
okay?
would.
Well, I thought maybe.
I don't have any
On the
idea
front-
what
On the
our-
front end, it didn't meet expectations.
Mhm.
Right.
I know the first year or so. After that, then I think it did.
The
First
sales
years I
tax has
checked
been
on it,
going
wasn't
up.
there.
Has it been going up even with the loss of Nell Hills and
Well,
things like
Nell
that,
Hills hasn't been
retail
gone
sales?
long enough to tell, but
But in retrospect, the automobile, we've kept an automobile dealership, those taxes have increased
But our sales tax collections are up 3%.
3%.
Without Nell Hills, so,
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
so,
That's good. So I'm thinking the 3% and the 1/4% of the increase of the 3%, the math doesn't add up.
Mhm.
I know when Jerry Henry originally helped us get this through the state, because we had to go through the state to get approval to do this. The 1/4% can be collected in the language till all bills are paid on the complex.
which would include maintenance.
No, but
It,
yeah.
it didn't limit it, did not include maintenance. So ultimately, I don't know that as it gets closer to 2026, that the commission, or hopefully someone with some foresight by then, can work in some type of a perpetual endowment or something on some continued collections. I'm talking out 9 more years. So I don't know any of us that can pull the genie out of the bottle then.
but it's better to be thinking about it now than before we get to that
Well,
point.
I've been talking about this for the last 4 years at ASAF, especially with Shealy being there. I said, hey, we know we need to see where you're at as far as budget, because we got to stick another finger in the dike if this isn't going to happen. And on top of that, a USD 377 is going to lose $10,000 out of it. $10,000 on, a $50,000 or $60,000 maintenance, whatever their cost is. It's still $10,000 when they're facing school budget cuts out at Topeka anyway. So every dime counts.
Mhm.
Every dime counts. I think it would be hard pressed to find anyone that isn't pleased with the product that's being produced and maintained out there. We have, as far as money can afford, we have a state-of-the-art facility there. We're green. We use water runoff to water our fields. We don't have to reseed because we're not getting water. We do everything. It's health, fitness. You had 2 young ladies up here, I think, talking when we came in. I got in on the very end. But health and fitness is a very good proponent to our community. And I think we add a lot to that with the sports complex.
I have to agree. I mean, I think you got very beautiful facilities, but I guess one of the most troubling numbers that I saw on here was the gate receipts were down, a couple $1,000s.
Yeah.
I mean,
Population's down.
well,
Participation, you could probably ask him, but I think participation's down somewhat too, isn't it?
Yeah.
well, I mean, I don't mean
I-
I'm not trying to stick anything, but I mean, part of the ongoing health of having the sports complex is participation, the revenue that it comes with it too. I think the revenue estimates to sustain this and initially were probably quite a bit higher than what they are. And I think we went into some of that last year with not having the alcohol available. I think it keeps a lot of tournaments and things out. So, I mean, part of the problem is we need to get more people there.
Let me tell you what I've heard so far. Correct me if I'm wrong, I'll make sure here. We have a bond payment till 2026.
Yes.
We should be replenishing this maintenance fund with excess.
If
The
there is.
excess cash, if
Yes.
it's there,
If there's,
up to $500,000.
yes.
Maintaining at $500,000. So it perpetuates itself at least till 2026. The next thing I'm not hearing, but I've heard, is that we're supposed to be driving tournaments and programs into that conference, that facility to drive revenue. And I don't know what we're doing there. And I don't know if we're out there trying to create more tournaments, drive revenue, what we're trying to do there. What are the tactics and that type of thing that are in place?
So you want me to add to that?
Sure, go ahead.
Sports economic development is kind of like agritourism. So we're going to, I don't know how to say sports tourism. It's a very competitive field. Let's just gate cut the alcohol out of it. You go down to southern Johnson County and you see acres of striped fields. Economics driven, those are all kid tournaments, every one of them. They are very strong kid tournaments. And with every kid tournament comes a set of grandparents, a set of uncles, a set of parents usually. And they bring a lot with them. What happens is you don't keep them competing around the clock. They compete for 2 games a day, probably guaranteed 2 per day, and then a championship on Sunday. With that said, the entertainment side of it is driven very strong with the attractions of what happens in the Kansas City area and Topeka area. So when we've had inquiries and we've had tournaments out there, here's what we've had to do. We charge $1 for every person that comes in. Well, to get the organizations to put on these tournaments and have the connections, we have to give them the $1. We have to stripe the fields. We allow them to go ahead and bring in their own officials. Sometimes we have to provide them and they pay them. But there's really no benefit to the sports complex. What benefits is Willie's, Sonic, the convenience stores, all those things. So we don't see what you'd say a true dollar income from the gate fee. Oh, sure, the participation and the entry fees, they all go to the organizer. But they have the connections. To do a tournament is about 12 to 18 months out. So if we want to have a tournament here this year, or there's no way we get it this year, it's 2 years out. We don't have the entertainment to bring in the rest of the people and entertain them those other 3 days that they're here. They want water parks. They want shopping centers. They want things like this, where they can be entertained between games. They do. They pack up, they leave, they go to Schlitterbahn or Worlds of Fun, they come back, they play ball at those facilities down there. It's very difficult, and we've had tournaments in the past, but they can't get participant teams. The youth leagues. Have I said anything that isn't correct?
No, that's-
All I was saying, what are we doing to try to create, how many years is every team? Now in 2026. And we can't be trying to get tournaments in here?
We've
To
had
create the economic activity?
We've had tournaments.
We've had tournaments.
Yeah.
We've had tournaments. We had up to 4 one year. It was a boon year. But the organizers aren't coming back
They won't.
because they
they're not
can't get
making
enough
money.
participation.
One year we, matter of fact, ASAF paid or reduced the entry fee for those teams to come to Atchison so we could get enough teams to play in it, just so we'd have a tournament. There's,
Then when you take in addition, Benedictine College ups and builds 2 turf fields. 2 turf
Competition.
fields. So
And a dog
instead of like the softball finals or something from local district play coming out and playing with us, they go to the college field. College is more than welcome to allow them to come in there and play their tournament because it's exposure for them. So we've got some unintended consequences and competition there. I think that Scott and his staff has tried hard to try to bring these tournaments in. It's highly competitive in our geographical area. Highly competitive. So now it turns into quality of life. Now, let's factor in the alcohol. When we first set up the performance on this, and Don can attest to this, we flew to Atlanta for a conference long before this complex was done. It was on the previous bond issue that was with the school. And they told them right there, if you don't have alcohol, you're not going to get any big time men's or women's softball tournaments. You got to have alcohol to make money, and you have to run the concessions. It was deemed that alcohol reduces the police factor, the temperament, and things like that, that goes along with alcohol and men's and women's softball, and they wanted to try or go with youth-driven programs, which has been highly successful
Mm-hmm.
for our community. We have a very quality complex out there that everyone feels safe to be at, and I'm going to stretch out here and say the law hasn't been at the facility to take care of behavioral problems no more than 5 times in the time that we've been out.
Well, that's
Now,
recommended.
if you go to the comparable and contact the city police department on the other city fields and ask them how many they've been there during the week, during their facilities they have here in Atchison. So I'm not saying it's bad, but with that comes other problems.
Right.
So what are you going to cross it up with? What's your expense? Where do you want to spend your money, I guess?
What if you approach, say, Leavenworth, Hiawatha, say, let's have a big tournament, let's all work together. We'll do it here this year, there next year, and maybe we could grow with that. Maybe we could,
We've done that.
Let Scott answer that.
We've done
it
that.
didn't work.
We would get a few teams here and there, but most time, I mean, there's tournaments every weekend. St. Joe, Topeka, Kansas City, and
Right, Atchison?
we're competing with them. And so they're in Hiawatha, and there's a chance to go play in a tournament. Do you want to go to Atchison or do you want to go to Kansas City? That's,
There are established tournaments that's
Yeah.
been going for
and there's just
where we're
more
trying
to
to
do
start
when you go
out.
there for mom, dad, whatever. We had 2. We tried to do that the first few years, just do it ourselves, contact and call people and try and come get tournaments. We could, scrape together 4 or 5 teams maybe. And then we contacted ASA, Amateur Softball Association, that group which runs big tournaments in Kansas City. They came for a year, and then they said, "I'm sorry, we can't come back. There's not enough money for them in it." And then we had another company in Kansas City that did tournaments, and they did it for about a year, and then there's just not enough money in it for them. So that's the problem we run into.
Did you know that somebody came to town and wants to do a sports deal here that says they can get 300,000 people here in Atchison a year for sports?
Semi-pro
What was the
football.
question? Say it again?
Well, the person who wants to build this dome here says they can get 300,000 people here
Wow.
a year.
I'd say let's start it yesterday.
So, I mean, I don't know where he's.
As long as he's billing it.
Same guy could sell 40 trucks out of there on a rainy Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, I do know though, in July 1969, they put 2 men in a tin can with an antiquated computer system. They put them on the moon and brought it back. And I gotta believe you gotta deal with the hand you got. You know?
Hmm.
I think you need to drive more revenue there. I mean,
Well, with that, I think it would take more money for marketing.
When we get to 2026, how are these fields going to be financed at that time? I mean, it's one thing,
Good question.
we got to be thinking about that. That's a long ways down the road.
Give it to the rec commission, or let us buy it for $1.
I didn't know the recognition could own it.
You can.
Oh, can you?
is that an offer?
It's an idea.
There's also, I didn't give you, there's a lease with 377 that's similar, that is that they lease the property back to us, and then we have that management contract. So they actually own it, they lease it to us, and we're having them manage manage it, and when the bonds are paid off, it goes back to the school district.
It is their district. Yeah, it's the
It goes back to-
377s. Yeah.
But while you have the bond on our complex out here, as they're the mortgage holder,
Yeah.
it's got to maintain your ownership.
Yeah.
And after it's paid off, it's just up to the county.
Well, I mean, we'll have to have more conversations like this in months and years to come.
But part of what we're here today is to say it's been costing, over $100,000 a year to run it. We get them 40. We can't. The ASF, the rec can't continue on. What's our sources of funding for us for down the road from the county to keep it maintained the way it goes? What can we do or not do? If we got extra funds and sales tax source, we need to be looking into see what we can do there.
I'd like to see the stakeholders get together and hammer this out and come back to us with a proposal. But I don't know whether we should be the ones that completely should fund it. I think it should be funded by the community itself. I mean, I can't, the Recreation Commission and the AFEC or whatever it is, get
ASAF.
together and hammer this out? A plan for the future?
Well, we need to know where the county stood on their funding of the maintenance.
Well,
Well,
I-
40,000 a year, right, or 50,000?
Well-
They're wanting more per year, and I think
There's
that
also
our
one
intention
now.
was the
Bond
the
check.
increased money coming in from the bonds would continue the payments longer, not raise the payments. So,
So you're committing the $40,000 out into the future past 2018. Is that what
well, however long that may
Well,
go.
if it
I
goes
mean,
to
we can't say
2026.
that we don't know for sure how long this is going to go.
And
But
at the end of 2026,
There
there
should
should
be
be
half
a
a
half
million
a
dollars.
million dollars sitting there?
Should be.
Is that the way
I-
I understand it?
I
Well, I guess that's what we need to know.
that's what we're going to have to find out
All right,
because
so you guys need to,
It would
you
be
guys
1
need to
year's
figure that
payment,
out.
wouldn't it, Pat? Just 1 year's payment, whatever that payment, it wouldn't be that much.
Well, it says that it's supposed to maintain a half a million dollars all the way to the end.
Right,
doesn't it?
that's the way I read it. The,
That's in the end where you're saying, where's that 500 gonna go?
at the end of the contract.
But see,
That-
originally,
that's-
until all bills are paid. If at that point in time, the community, to say you wanted to put a swimming pool in out there, you wanted to put a arena in out there, if you wanted to put, you could put something else up out there and still continue to collect the sales tax, if that's what the community wanted to do, add to the facility somewhere or the other. That's not,
You mean they can continue the sales tax beyond the date without a vote?
if that's what
The way-
if the community wanted to do.
Or-
But how would the community, I mean, without a vote, how would they relay that fact to the commissioners? I'm saying either it would have to go to a vote, or you're saying that maybe the commissioners would,
That's what they'd have the power to do, as I understand.
Well,
Don't you, Derek, understand?
Yep.
if all bills to be paid, that they made further investments. It's a good question. Sounds like there's a
It
lot of
says
things we
until
don't
all
know.
bills are paid.
well, I think that
But intent was to
the
take care of
intent
it.
would be the sports complex, not a swimming pool or something else.
Swimming pools.
I would agree with
Needs to
you.
belong in town somewhere.
What's that?
It needs to belong where people can walk to.
I don't know. I say again, that's something that we're gonna have to think about and discuss. But
Okay, well, where we're at here is right now, the rec commission has a plan B, if needs to be, to fund the gap. It is a county-owned facility, we think the county needs to be paying the maintenance on the project, not coming from somewhere else, but if that's where it's gonna be, we need to know so we can kind of plan also. But that's one of the reasons why the rec board, we encourage the rec board to tap into that mill if they needed it, or have it available to them if they needed it for this complex. It's the complex is needed. How are you gonna fund it? Is it county funded, or is it rec complex funded? I don't know.
the way I read it, I mean, we couldn't tap into that 500,000 until all bills are paid, or I wouldn't want to raise the maintenance, the money coming out of there if it's not going to the end of 2026. I mean, it's not like we've got that setting there that we could tap into, say we had the full 500,000 there, sitting there. I don't know as we could,
We're 375,000 short right now.
yeah, I mean,
So what I'm hearing you saying, 40,000 is gonna stay consistent for a period of time.
I'd say for the foreseeable future, but we'll look into seeing what
But
this is.
that's only with the understanding that it's gonna get pumped back up.
Oh.
The fund.
Right, we don't know how that's gonna,
How far out it can go.
yeah.
So, what's our,
That's what we would like to know, is how far out it can go.
Well, we know the bond payment, we know and we know that, so the revenue stream, so it should be easy to figure out.
Yeah, we'll have to get with you on the revenue stream, see what it's been, how it's been performing, and go from there. We don't have that today.
Okay, so when we have those numbers, then lets us prepare, prepare and organize for the future then too, as far as how we're going to do it.
well, that way it allows the budget process for action and recreation in the future,
Another thing that the county has, well, this would be sales tax, but we have budget cap now for this year too. So I don't know how that's going to, we can't just be raising, that's a budgeted expense. So wouldn't that be subject to the budget cap?
Probably, yeah.
See, we couldn't,
Well, not if it's coming from sales tax money.
Not if it's- okay.
Whole different fund.
If it's coming from county general or something.
That's ad
yes.
valorem where you have
Okay.
the cap, isn't that correct?
yes.
So
I was just thinking in my mind that we've got that hanging, looming over us that keeps us,
I think a whole different pool
I think
of
Yeah.
funding.
libraries and road commissions come off the top of that, if I remember right.
I remember library, but, so they're not subject to the budget cap, correct?
I think that comes off the total.
Okay.
Okay, so why don't, if you guys would check on your end and call for another meeting and come and visit at that time, if you would mind, let us know what your idea is.
I just don't remember that in
Yeah.
the spirit of it. I mean, I'm thrilled.
I'll
that's
let some
true.
legal counsel tell us what we can do here. Let's find out and get it from there.
Derek, I've heard many people tell me exactly what you've said, and so I'm sure that was what was talked about, but that's not how I read it. And there's
That's
a there's a
great.
copy
No,
of it. if
I
you-
wouldn't even know what I'm reading.
so.
Okay, so if you guys would answer that, and we can plan accordingly then.
Okay.
Should we have the bonding company come back up?
Well, I think the trustee has the answers to these questions. The financials, the exchange would have.
Whoever the
Um,
trust officer down there, I would get a hold of him, he's the one that really
Well,
knows.
I actually did. It had been Jennifer Maxwell,
Yeah.
and
I think
she's
we'll
not
approve it.
there anymore, and I think maybe we caught him off guard a little asking
Mhm.
and they weren't quite ready
I
for
didn't-
it, so
We can do
I
that
expect
after
we'll
the-
get something from Exchange shortly.
That'd be a bad idea to get it in writing, so we've all got it.
That would usually be better.
Yeah,
Then it's
Then we have something to plan
transferable
from.
to the next person. You know, if they happen to be in office or something in 5 years, what's this about?
So Debbie, do
Okay.
you have a question? I
No.
guess on the other funding, and I was somewhat surprised you withheld hunt funding. Is that gonna go ahead and come on through then? Our
Oh, yes.
Payment?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was just,
You want to see our budget, what happened?
well, yeah, because it's been year and a half since you've been here, so.
How often are they
and-
supposed to report? Is it the
Um,
pattern?
I don't know that there's anything required, but we can always send you the financials at the beginning of the year, if that's what you want.
Yeah, I just think it needs to be maybe just more.
Because it's just pass-through money,
Yeah,
it's just
I
pass.
think this was a suggestion from the former commissioner that we all need to get all the parties involved,
all the stakeholders.
all the stakeholders involved.
And see, it was December or
And
early.
They are, because they sit on this ASF. The ASF board is made up of a representative from Ashland High, our athletic director, Moore Hills athletic director, the YMCA director, the rec commission, BC's director,
377.
not on our board.
Oh, not on.
Well, the Chamber of Commerce has it, the county commissioner has one, and we have two at large. So we got 9, and these two at large are generally traveling type teams. We try to get on there that travel around because they'll help promote tournament. So our stakeholders are involved in our meetings.
Alls I know is me and Eric aren't on any of the boards, and the person on that board was his suggestion to do it, so we thought, it must be the thing
I
to
think as
do.
you talk to Jeff, he's gonna remain on the board, so he's gonna be the county representative.
Who is?
Jeff.
Jeff's going to continue?
Jeff is?
Okay, he's who you've appointed him. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
At least
So-
for now, so.
Do
Okay.
you
But I don't
want a
know,
different
I
kind of
don't know, I don't know if that's a good idea where we're giving money. That probably should be a county commissioner.
Well, that's what you guys said originally, so.
I know, but I was saying let him stay on like, some of the other boards, but where we're actually funding him, I think we need to have a representative from here. And I don't want it, or I'm not
All I
saying,
can say to
We're
that,
okay. You have a right to do that.
all I can
Doesn't it
say
make
to that-
sense?
Each organization assigns who they want to serve on our board.
Right. It's your property.
Mhm.
You are the legal owner. The financial contributions is just passed through from the sales tax. So if I was you, I would want a current commissioner on there.
most definitely, because
Because you don't want your property manager, and he really doesn't have any say, but that's up to you.
Okay.
So-
We meet anywhere from 2 to 4 times a year, depending what, if the other
You need to
problem
get
out
on
there.
that.
We gotta meet and discuss something or whatever, that's what we do.
Well,
Yeah.
I think
We'll
we'll,
bring it- we'll
we'll
bring
find
it.
that out.
Yeah, I think
So,
we'll-
thank you very much.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate you.
So, whenever you find out,
Okay,
Alright.
we will.
we're here to help.
So I'll pass it on to Wiseman and to, we could be getting funding here before long on this other. this
Yeah,
$10,000 payment.
it's here, we'll pass it.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
thank you. Yeah, one of us need to be on that board, because we're given somebody authority to do something. Somebody on this board needs to.
Should we appoint him now, or? you
We
decide?
can, let's,
Or do we wait till after this?
okay, I guess I've got that, don't I? Okay, Joe was up this morning and brought us the agreement with River Bluff Architects. What page is that tells the?
16, I believe,
Hmm?
16.
16. I remember you told me this morning.
It was 24,780.
Well, I was just,
I highlighted it this right here.
yeah, for the fee of $24,780 for architectural fees for the jail roof, the breezeway, and the north commission doors, and the east? Oh, both sets of doors on the lower level of the courthouse.
Yes.
Is there any other discussion on the topic before we vote on it? Do I hear a motion to accept the architect's fees? It's been moved.
I'll second that,
It's
Mr.
been moved
Chairman.
and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Passed 3-0. I think that's what you need right there.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe. Got you in and out quicker this time.
Yes.
Okay, why don't we go
Away.
back to the ASAF quarterly disbursement and approve that. I don't know, I didn't think, I guess we have held it for a month, so, but it seemed to have gotten their attention. Do I hear a motion to accept the amount of $12,500 for the disbursement of ASAF funds, well, for funds for the maintenance of the ball field in Atchison and to USD 377 for the one in Effingham?
I would make a motion with discussion.
Okay,
Do I have discussion for it seconded then, or
Whatever, however,
okay, with discussion, let's proceed.
discussion for the
you
second?
know, maybe I get a little dramatic about the revenue side of the thing. But it just seems to me that we don't really come to this conclusion we can't do it, instead of saying this is how we can do it. And I think they have to have some, these community groups have to have some responsibility to maybe raise some of this money themselves. Even though I know we own it, but it's for the benefit of this community. And so I think they should be out there working to tournaments or more programs or whatever to try to raise some of that revenue.
I was going to bring it up, but I didn't want to knock horns. When this was first promoted, it said right in there, this would never be a burden to taxpayers. They had that publicly. So now they're wanting to come up for more money, and now they're wanting us to come up for more money. So then where's that money coming
Well,
from?
they're also asking, I mean, I just gotta, it's in my DNA, I'm sorry. There's always something you could do about the revenue side. You know, it's in my DNA, and I don't think you'll ever take it out of there, but, when they sold it, they also sold on the idea that they would have all these tournaments and that.
That's where I was hinting when I was suggesting that,
self-
And maybe
because
they've run into bull-blocks and it can't be done. That's very possible. I just don't personally hear about the effort. And I don't know if I have to hear about the effort, but
well, to me, it was okay. It's great. We've got these beautiful facilities, but evidently they're not being utilized, or at least not to the point where
They're
you know
not being
they
promoted.
they were promoted to create a revenue stream that was sold. Well, we're not getting that revenue stream, so I don't feel that it's just up to the landowner, business owner to make up the difference.
well, and then
I think we're on the same page.
Yeah, what is the utilization? Is it 25% utilized or 50% utilized or?
I bet it's 10 or less.
Yeah, so that's something else they probably should measure, utilization factor.
Is that
That's what I want to know.
okay? And I appreciate that. I think we're on the same page, but at the same time, this is just the payment for the regular maintenance, and which I have no problem with the. Go ahead and forward
So I
this.
would have moved to approve.
You second.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded to accept. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0. Okay. Jamie, do you have something?
Yes, I just wanted to let you guys know that the HR admin office will be closed Thursday afternoon, so Melissa and I can both attend the funerals.
Okay. Put it out, tell the department heads so they know, and is it just going to be you're going to be open that morning?
Yes, we'll be here in the morning.
Okay.
So, probably from 1 to the rest of the day.
Did the lady get everything that she was wanting, or some of what she was wanting?
Most of what she was wanting. There's just a few follow-up things that she's going to email, I believe, to Sheila, Michelle, and myself, so we're all on the same page of what she's needing. There's a few things left she needs from the treasurer's office, and I think just a couple things from the clerk's office. And so we did make progress this morning, so I appreciate the meeting this morning.
I thought that was a good meeting.
I agree.
If there's anything more, don't hesitate to say something via email, call, whatever.
Okay.
'Cause-
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jenna.
Older unfinished business before the board. Got to get everything in here. There's a thank you from the Art Association. We've got maybe this would be under Commissioner update, the application to redeem property for sales tax. Do you want to do that under now? Or?
Sure. Kind of the sales tax, or the tax sale, not sales tax,
Yeah.
tax sale update. I filed a motion to strike one of the redemptions a few days before the sale. Wynn Development Companies, Inc. Sean Wynn, on behalf of that corporation, filed a application to redeem the property. That corporation lost its corporate charter in 2010 and hadn't paid or filed its state taxes or paid its annual fees since then. We had the hearing on that yesterday morning. At 8:30, the court granted our motion and did set aside the redemption of that property. And so we will need to either, we could have another sale, which would just have that property, and we could try again the properties that didn't sell.
I thought you said he
Or-
redeemed it. He paid his taxes. He didn't?
Well, he did. Well, Sean Wynn paid the taxes, but you have to be a record title owner or a mortgagee on property to redeem the property, and he's neither. My guess is if we notice it up for another sale, which requires the 3 publications and 30 days of wait, that they could get that fixed and then redeem again. That is, they could go through the process with the state. But
Could we sell it before that?
we can't sell it before.
Can we
going
hold
through the
on that
numbers.
check until it's get legal?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Well, there hadn't been a demand for it back.
I
so-
would hang on to it.
So I think that's what we'll do. The sheriff has filed his return, and now that yesterday's over, I'll file my motion to confirm the sale in the next couple days, and that will be heard in 2 weeks or so on out.
Back on the Wynn property, what is we're gonna try to sell it or hold it? I didn't get.
Sell it again.
Sell it again you have to set a new date?
Have to set a new date and do a new publication, but that publication will be a lot smaller publication.
Just be for that property?
Yeah, it wasn't, you saw the one that was 2 pages, and this one would be
Are we doing
8 inches.
extra work for nothing? If we give this man, say, 2 weeks to get his license and everything legal, and we got the check and it's a done deal?
That to be different deeds, everything, or? Could he reinstate his corporation?
Yes, right. He could, but he'd have to, and of course that would involve complying with the law and paying the taxes.
Annual reports
and,
and-
yeah. So, I mean, that really ought to be done.
I'm saying
No,
he's
I-
had more than enough time, but I would be more in favor of giving the man an extra week to do it than to go through another tax sale and all that. And then if
I've not.
we got
called-
money in hand now to pay his taxes and nothing else. So if we give that back, you may get
Was he
$26 for it.
represented at your hearing?
No,
Was he represented?
he didn't appear and didn't respond to my letter to him. So, I
Did
don't know.
we cash his check or we didn't cash his check?
You say we, the clerk of the district court deposited his check into a trust account.
Okay.
So,
So we have the cash.
the clerk of the district court has the
Ah,
cash,
okay.
a pending court
Sorry.
order, right? But,
I need to go to law school so I can talk.
no, I'm not trying to be pedantic.
I know.
What's your take on it?
I would like to see the property sold as soon as can be.
What if one of his buddies comes up and bids $26 on it, or $46, or whatever the
There's
minimum?
too much interest in that property.
Oh, really?
There's a lot of interest in that.
I think that will definitely bring more than the taxes. I think that, and again, if it's his buddy, that can't transfer back within, was it 5 years or?
Well, how are we gonna know that? So you're confident that it will bring more than what's
I
owed?
have heard conversations about that people would like to have that property.
Put it up for sale then.
Okay,
Was
And
there,
and the other unsold properties.
do you want to try to sell those again? We'd have to publish on
How many
the
didn't
legal
sell?
descriptions,
Oh.
7.
now that was no sales, but wasn't there another property that you struck from the sale?
There was a bankruptcy filed the day before the sale, and from what I've gathered since then, I think that the automatic stay would prohibit us from selling those without going through a process to get relief from the automatic stay. So I don't think it's And I don't know that I don't think we'd be successful at getting relief from the automatic stay.
And Mr. Nguyen would still have the opportunity to get his corporation current, good standing, and redeem the property.
Yes.
Yeah, but if we put that up for sale again, wouldn't that first purchase be out the window?
No, we didn't sell it.
It wasn't-
Okay. Oh, so
It was redeemed.
even though he paid his taxes, that wouldn't say, I paid my taxes, so
Well, I don't want to sound condescending. He didn't pay his taxes. Sean Nguyen paid the taxes of a corporation that doesn't exist anymore. And legally, a corporation is a separate entity, and that corporation lost its entity status. The law gives them 3 years after they lose their status to do some winding up things, and that's well past. We're 4 years past that 3 years. So
are you 110% sure that if this went further legally, without a doubt, we would win?
I don't know that
Maybe we shouldn't be talking about this
well,
on live camera either. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're going to get more into the specifics, we should go into an executive session, but we're on extremely strong legal footing, in my opinion, on the issue of redemption. We have a reported case from Johnson County that is not exactly similar, but it is fairly similar enough that, and the court's already ruled in our favor on the issue, so they would have to appeal that to have it set aside. And if they appeal that, they have to file a bond, which would cover the expenses of the appeal. So, which hasn't been done yet. But I will reach out to the Nguyen's in the next few days, and then if I don't have a guaranteed deadline response, then we'll go ahead and set it for a sale.
That sounds fair.
Okay. Any other county councilor updates?
Yes. Dennis Foster and I drove around yesterday for a couple hours and looked at several properties that have been identified as nuisances. There are 2 properties that, in addition to the ones that are on the spreadsheet, that have sanitary system issues. Both of them are in the extreme western part of the county, and they have lagoon systems set up, and under the sanitation code, those have to be fenced off. And they have sent them notice after notice saying, please fence, please fence, please fence, and gotten back the response, we will, we will, we will. It's now been, I think, 14 months on one of them that it's been up with the promise that we'll have a fence around it, and probably not quite that long on the other property, but they've got 2 properties that are not fenced that need to be. So they have asked me to file an action to enjoin that, and I would plan to do that. We also talked about sort of a strategy on the nuisances that have been reported in terms of having the documentation that is the evidence that we need at the beginning of the case. And so I think they're going to be working on that in earnest as we get into the summer. But that's about to come up again, I guess, from NEKES. During the discussion, he also mentioned that at the NEKES board meeting, that there was discussion about maybe adding a nuisance chapter to our sanitation code, which might be a good idea. We have a 1 or 2 page resolution right now, and it obviously could be more specific. So he told me that they would. He was going to present something to your board, the NEKES board,
Mm-hmm.
and get a recommendation from them before bringing it to us.
Okay.
Finally, on the nuisances out on Country Club Road, the property out there, it's a good news and bad news situation. One of the 3 trailers is gone. Before it looked like they had just kind of torn it apart and left it there, but it is completely out. When we were out there, there was a contractor who was working on dismantling the second trailer, the westernmost trailer. So it looks like they are actually working on getting that done. There's still a fair amount of debris that's down on the south, or excuse me, downhill, which would be the east side of the property. The plan is to move that to the west side after that mobile home is gone. Dennis also thought that part of the runoff that we had seen was caused by the chickens that are there and not necessarily from the septic system. There were 3 mobile homes there, and when they had the problems, when they shut down the system, or when they sited the system years ago, it was leaking, but he thought with only 1 mobile home on there that probably it was adequate to handle the 1 mobile home, but he wouldn't know for sure until they moved the chickens and did some water testing. But we didn't see any evidence of contaminated water at that point, which is a step in the right direction. And he did give us a timeline of within 30 days having the other mobile home out, and so that's actually some decent progress.
Okay.
And I think that's all I have.
Okay, I do have one more thing here. I had a guy call that's basically a neighbor to the county lake up there. And he was saying that there are currently no hunting signs up there. But he said he understands it that the commission at that time had okayed hunting on that property, but no trapping. He's concerned that if someone was actually hunting on the county lake property and the game warden would see that it was posted no hunting, it's not in conjunction with what the rule was.
I thought we went no hunting and no trapping.
It's resolution 1319. Nope, that's not it. I'm sorry. We did pass I know there were some rules out there. I'm in the wrong. Sorry. In 2014, there was a resolution. Resolution 1396. The first one is no trapping or fur harvesting. I don't see anything about hunting or firearms.
Well, we'd had to okay it for that sign was put up at that
It
time.
originally had been no hunting, but they had amended it. He thought that they had amended it to the allowing hunting so you can hunt geese, but there was still no trapping. So that's the reason he's saying the signs got put up, but the current caretakers will not take those signs down, because he didn't think that they favored the hunting. former caretakers, maybe I should say.
I don't see, there's nothing in there about firearms or, I'm trying to think, I think it may be that we couldn't, with the change in the concealed carry law, that we couldn't prohibit that without having security out there. I remember that being a discussion. I would have to go look at my notes, but
Okay.
I think that was definitely discussed. I can look at it to see.
Well, I mean, I think he does have a point. If hunting is allowed and there's no hunting signs up, I think they could really get in trouble with the game warden. You know, here it's posted, and it would create a problem until they could then have to come through us, make sure that it was or was not correct. So, I mean, if you want to look into that, we don't have to decide that today. It's been that way for years, but it was just a new wrinkle that I got a call this last week.
Do we consider leasing that to Kansas Wildlife and Parks? Let them maintain it before it gets tore up and keep ownership, possession? Maybe they can promote it, fix it up a little bit.
Are they willing to take it? That's the next question.
Well, you had a gentleman contact you that was interested in it.
Yeah, they had made the offer that if we were interested in, actually I think what he said was if we were interested in selling it, let them know, because they would be interested in making an offer. But it wasn't any more specific than that, and it wasn't we have a budget to pay this or anything. It was just the open-ended, if you're going to sell it, let us know.
Okay. Are you going to look into that sometime, Pat?
I
Then?
can, yeah.
Okay.
I have a
I
question
remember
for
who that
Pat.
was.
Okay.
Go ahead.
It's tax sale.
Uh-huh.
I'm sick that we lost our bowling alley. And I sit there and think, what if the tax sale, is it state law that says how many years they could be behind on taxes before the sale? Is it local law?
No, it is state law. Well, yes, the general rule is for homestead property, it's delinquent 3 years, for commercial property 2 years, and for vacant property 1 year. This is the third tax sale that I've done, and that property wasn't identified as one of the properties to be on the sale before, and I don't know why it wasn't.
Because he was so
But-
far underwater, there wasn't a chance. But
Yeah.
it's not just about that, but I understand people can come in and pay the last year's taxes and then not be eligible for the tax sale, or?
I actually still should throw them out, but I don't know whether that was a computer glitch or if they had paid the most recent year, then it threw them, or it didn't identify the property.
The requirement isn't that they have 3 years of taxes that are unpaid. It's that any one tax is more than 3 years delinquent. So it's 1 year of taxes unpaid. The procedure with the taxes is they become due in November for the following year. They're not delinquent until the following September. And so it has to be 3 years past that September date. So, and we've just gone past the September 2016, so 15, 14, 13. The 2013 taxes right now could be eligible for a tax sale. And some people look at that 17 and subtract 3 and think it's the 2014 taxes, but it's
2013.
now it's 2012. Wait, I'm 6. In Yeah, you're right, it's the,
So I'm gonna go on the tax sale, and I know that in advance. So I can run and pay the most current year and the current,
the oldest,
you pay the oldest first.
yes.
The-
And Johnston,
That's not correct. There's some, I think even the Wynn property had not paid for 10 and 11, they paid in 12, and then didn't pay again 13, 14, 15.
Correct.
So I don't think that there is, I think they can pick and choose whatever year, if they come in and pay it. I don't think that there's a requirement, A, that they have to pay it all. If they just come in on their own, they can pick a year, and it can be any one of the years.
if they're delinquent, I can't tell you how they were done. Originally, we would get copies of paper cardstock cards that had handwriting of the taxes that were paid on them. Michelle and I spent a good amount of time going through the CIC system, and it generated, I believe, 250 some parcels that would be eligible for a tax sale if they were all homesteads. So that is, we went back to 3 years. However, in the first 5 of those we looked at, we found 2 errors. And Michelle is, I guess I'd let her explain, but she's the one that's been dealing with CIC about it. But there were 2 errors in the first 5.
Right, and I think basically, the one of them had a watershed dam change, therefore changing the taxing unit. When the taxing unit was changed, the existing taxing unit information was like unlinked. So therefore, when the taxpayer comes in and you search, depending upon how you search, and I think it's an issue that CIC needs to address in how things are searched for. But if you search under one direction, you find the most recent taxes since that change has been made, because it's like that other property was deleted and therefore that link is not there anymore. So if you go in and if you search for just that certain, in one direction to search for that property, you're only gonna find the taxes that have been done since that change. You're not gonna find the others. If you go in through the treasurer side and you can look through for the specific person, then you can find all of the taxes that have been paid and that have not been paid from that time because of the link to the property, not the name ID. I mean, there's different ways that you can look at it. One of them had a, it was the original parcel was deleted because there was a combination on the properties. I have tried to take some proactive measures on that because there is a checkpoint that you can not delete a property if there's delinquent taxes. So that has been checked. So nobody's going to be able to delete any more properties from this point forward if there's delinquent properties attached to that property, which was done in error. But if they restore that deleted property, then it's going to duplicate some of the taxes that are in there, and we can't really do that. So
I go to that theory, if you're digging yourself a hole, quit digging. And if what are the taxes on that Rolling Hill was 2009? Was it that late?
It may be, I
mean, I don't, but it was long,
Yeah, it was
long. And maybe if he would have had to face it in 2012, maybe he could have dug his way out of that hole or got some help. It just got so big that, we're not doing anybody favors by letting it go on. And we're doing more favors by getting it right up to the forefront right away. And
I think you're right on page with us that, you know, we've been kind of trying to get this, we want this to be a yearly process, not, you know, maybe every 2 or 3 years, and have it a regular thing. And I think as we kind of learn to even utilize the CIC, and that will kick those names out more timely than what the system that we have been using.
didn't the legislature raise the interest we could charge on property last year or the year before?
Because we talked about that.
Yeah. I swore that was on the legislative agenda. Now whether it
Passed.
passed, I mean, I don't know. But it's such a cheap loan is what these guys look at it. I mean,
Yeah. And again, you look at it he had an extra long time to be utilizing that cheap loan
Yeah.
and still didn't make it work.
Yeah,
So
right.
you can look at it both ways.
Yeah.
I mean, if he could have, he had more time to dig his way out. Now, maybe it was a deeper hole, but.
Well, it's hard
just-
to get out of a hole once you dig it. I've dug a few holes myself, so.
Okay. Well, with that, is there?
Well, I think this dovetails into a discussion, and Commissioner Bauer, I don't think you were, I remember if you were here when we talked about it, the tax statements themselves that go out, I don't think give adequate notice to a taxpayer that they have delinquent taxes. It's got a small line on the top that says also delinquent for and lists a year. But it doesn't give a total or what that amount is or anything like that. And so that's something that we, I think, need to get addressed so that when the statements go out, they know about it. It also happened the day before the sale, there was someone here trying to redeem, and he went in to redeem the property, and they told him he had, $500 or something. And he really had $1,500 because the property had changed hands, and when the ownership changed, the CIC system wasn't tracking back to the prior. So when the Treasurer's Office did the search by the parcel number, the taxes showed up, but when they searched by the name, they didn't. And that, to me, seems to be a shortcoming with CIC. Michelle had asked them to run a search of all the properties that had outstanding taxes that were not associated with the current tax statement, and they said they ran their query and there were none. Well, we know there were at least two because we found two. I haven't talked to CIC, and I don't know if you followed up with them at all since then.
I haven't talked to them, but I do know it's enhancement processes that can be brought to the attention of CIC during the convention. They do have some enhancement process, but they do go through there. One of the things that I'd like to see would be, instead of showing the amount due on the tax statement as being the current amount due, I'd like to see that X'd out, or a note there, see treasurer, if there's delinquent taxes on that property. Because if you're giving them a tax statement and it's showing current tax due as this amount, they're gonna come in and try to pay that amount and not even look at this little bitty one line up there that says you have delinquent taxes for the last 5 years. I mean, and it'll list out the years. But if they see that amount due, they're gonna think that's all they owe. Or that doesn't include any of the interest that may have accumulated or the back taxes.
They're probably gonna know how much they owe, but they're gonna use that as the excuse.
Yeah. They're going to say, oh, that's current. That's current.
Total taxes due, I think it says, something like that.
Right.
Maybe even, I don't know if they could print with red ink or something up here, delinquent taxes and the amount.
Well, they used to stack
Somewhere.
tax rebate with a stamp. They didn't do it last year for some reason.
They would stamp what?
They stamped the tax deal.
Tax rebate.
Tax rebate. They didn't do that last year for some reason. But
We changed,
That's a good idea to have that on there too.
we changed people that made the tax statements last year. In fact, they messed up and we had to redo them again.
Yeah. Okay, do we need any executive session?
Not that I know of, unless there's something.
Okay. Well, with that, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we adjourn at 3:10.
second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Pass 3-0.